All right. Once again, thanks for joining us tonight for the Haas Supplemental Q&A event. We're happy to answer your questions and make sure you feel good about the supplemental application at hand. So this is our agenda for tonight. We'll give you an overview of the application. We'll answer some brief Q&A or frequently asked questions, and then we'll get to your questions. So make sure you drop those in the Q&A function. Before we do that, we'd like to take a moment, as is our practice here at Berkeley, to do the land acknowledgement. So the Haas School of Business recognizes that UC Berkeley sits on the territory of Huichin, the original landscape of Chochenyo-speaking Ohlone people, the successors of the sovereign Verona Band of Alameda County. This region continues to be of great importance to the Muwekma Ohlone tribe and other familial descendants of the Verona Band. We recognize that every member of the Berkeley community has and continues to benefit from the use and occupation of this land since the institution's founding in 1868. Consistent with our values of community, inclusion, and diversity, we have a responsibility to acknowledge and make visible the university's relationship to Native peoples. As members of the Berkeley Haas community, it is vitally important that we not only recognize the history of the land on which we stand, but also we recognize that the Muwekma Ohlone people are alive and flourishing members of the Berkeley and broader Bay Area communities today. All right, thank you for taking a moment for our land acknowledgement. And let's get into it. So we'll give a quick overview of our team. And this line here, we're here to help, is genuine. We are honestly here to help you. We wouldn't do this work if we didn't like connecting with y'all. So please reach out as you have questions. I'm Monique. I'm the director of admissions here in the Haas undergrad program. And I was also a transfer student to Berkeley. So I really care about this population and I want y'all to be successful. So shout out to any San Mateo County College students here. I'll pass it to Katie.
Hi, good evening, y'all. My name is Katie Marshall. I'm an associate director of admissions. I mostly work with yield and transition, but I'm also heavily part of the process that you are all in now. So it's great to connect with you this evening and let you know a little bit about the application so you're feeling prepared. And I'll pass it back over to Monique.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Katie. Thank you for being here. So we'll talk a little bit about the why. About why we asked you to do the Haas Supplemental Application. So this is a holistic evaluation, and getting this additional detail about yourself and why you're interested in our programs or how you align to them is really important to us. So we want to give you the opportunity and space to tell us that additional story besides what you have in the UC application, because you're applying to our programs and we want to know about how that relates, how your experiences relate to what we're attempting to do here at Haas. Sorry, can you advance, please? Thank you. And then we also want to give you the opportunity to expand on anything that you talked about in the UC app that you didn't have enough space to expand on that's really important to you in your story as a person, as a human, as somebody who is interested in business. We want to know about those additional details that are important to you in terms of your values and what makes you you and what's motivated you to apply to our program. So that gives you that additional space to expand or reinforce any of those things that are important. And then also the opportunity to demonstrate your interest in our major. Our programs are really competitive, so we want to bring in and yield students who are really dedicated to the mission of our defining leadership principles and the way that we do business or approach business here at Haas compared to how other institutions might be thinking about or approaching business. So we want to see that alignment in your application as well. On that note of the defining leadership principles, hopefully you've been introduced to them before, but if not, here they are. And there's 4 of them. There's question the status quo, confidence without attitude, students always, beyond yourself. I won't go into detail about them, but you can find these on our website if you want to read more about them. Hopefully some of them are a little bit self-explanatory, but they're really key to who we are here at Haas and to the type of faculty, staff, and students we hope to yield or bring into the institution. So make sure you're familiar with those and that those are your guiding light as you think about if you want to move forward in this process and as you move forward with the supplemental application, that you're highlighting these DLPs or aligning yourself to them where you can. And the next piece I want to talk about briefly here is academic integrity. We live in a world of AI. We're embracing that here at Haas, but also with caution and a little bit of curiosity. So great if you're using those tools to help you get started, to help you, brainstorm or to help you proofread after you've done the work. But we really believe that, the work that you're submitting needs to be, and it should be, representative of your efforts and your abilities. So, make sure you're submitting work that's your individual thoughts, because AI can't do that for you. We want to see who you are in this process. So please take that human advantage, that human edge as you utilize those tools. Okay, so application logistics. So hopefully you got that email about where to find the supplemental application. It's in your Map at Berkeley portal. But if not, we'll talk about those things. But if you didn't, please make sure you reach out to us so we can help you get that email. It was titled something like your UC Berkeley application. So make sure you look for that, because that'll help you get situated with your Map at Berkeley portal. Anyways, the supplemental application is available right now, and it's due at the end of the month on the 31st at the end of the day. So make sure you're aware of that. And then I did mention, kind of where you can access that. That's in your Map at Berkeley portal. So make sure, I got that going, and you feel confident in using that. But if not, reach out to us. We'll try to help you. But if not, you can always reach out to the Office of Undergraduate Admissions. Okay, so then we want to talk a little bit about the Haas supplemental essay. So you wrote that you wrote your 4 UC apps, or sorry, UC PIQ questions. You wrote those essays. Now we're asking you to write a supplemental essay specific to the business major. And this question isn't in previous years the one we've asked about your interest in business. This year we're curious about your alignment to our culture. So this looks like a big prompt, but it's really not. So, we're giving you a lot of background in terms of what we're trying to do at Haas with our students and what we believe in and kind of what we're moving towards. And then that bolded line there is really the question that we're asking to address. And so, as you're writing your essay, kind of focus your energy there. So again, the other stuff is background. That's context for you. But you really just need to answer this question about how will you put the collective good above personal interest. So hopefully that helps you with that and making it more approachable. It's just one question. The other piece is background information for you. All right. So, we talked briefly about the prompt. Now you're thinking, how do I start? How do I get going on this process if you haven't already? So, as we talked about, use AI if you feel comfortable to use that tool to help you reflect and brainstorm, or use other tools at your disposal to do that work of just kind of reading that question, letting it sit with you, and thinking about our school and what we're trying to do and how that is relevant to what you want to do with your education and your professional life after graduating. And just think about those things and kind of think through how you might answer that prompt. And then the other part is just right. You have plenty of time now until the 31st to get it done, but just start writing, write anything. So it's okay. It's just a draft. Obviously some other things about self-care is really important. Taking a break, not overanalyzing this, and just spending the time you need to on it, but not too much time, because we recognize that you've got other things going on. So this isn't meant to be like a difficult task or that you should pour all your energy into this. So please don't do that. Kind of just take a few passes at it and then move on with whatever else you got to do in your life. But anyways, there's some other bits here that I'll go over quickly. Obviously read it over, revise, proofread, repeat, and then finalize it. Ask for feedback. We've got a lot of students who are in the major who have given other prospective students the tip of asking people who or who know you well to read your essays to get a sense if they see you in that essay and if it accurately depicts you as you wish to be seen. And then, make your final edits. And then just in terms of what we're evaluating for, to pull back the curtain a little bit here, so as you're writing your essay, you have a sense of where you might go. But these are the things that we're looking for. So I've said it a few times now, is that we're looking for that alignment and a strong alignment and demonstration of our defining leadership principles. We're also looking for writing ability because of the level of our program and the rigor of the curriculum. We're also looking for students who are able to convey who you are and what you value and what's important to you and how you are going to bring that to Haas, or how we can help you advance those things in your life and your career. We're also looking for the structure and your ability to organize your thoughts and your writing. And then we are also looking for punctuation and grammar, and that you've spent some time proofreading and making your essay pretty solid. Okay, and then the last bit here for me is the other components of the application. So we talked through the essay, and Katie's going to cover the video interview, but I also just want to quickly touch base on the self-reported academic record and activities and award updates. So on the self-reported academic record, a few things there. So the first thing is, please confirm your eligibility. We require 100% completion of the prerequisites. So make sure, if you're a California Community College student, you're using assist.org to make sure you have all those courses that we require for students who are pursuing business to have. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to evaluate your application. So please make sure you have that. And if you find that you're not going to finish all the prerequisite requirements by the end of the spring term, you might consider requesting a change of major, which you can do through your Map at Berkeley portal. And then as you're entering grades, if you're currently taking any classes in terms of the prerequisites, use IP for that. That just means in progress. And then if you have any classes planned for another term, use PL. That just means planned. And then please use the comments section. If there's anything that you want us to know or consider, put it in the comment section, even if you think it's a minor thing. Maybe you hurt your wrist so you can take one of the exams for your class. That's helpful information to know. That's going to affect your grade or affect the way that you show up at other spaces. So put that there. Please don't wait until it's like, I'm going to appeal my decision, because then it's too late. We need that information in advance. And then on the activities and awards update, that's an optional piece of the application. So it's totally okay if you leave it blank. If you don't have any updates, we'll always just refer to your UC application. And then new this year, and I do want to highlight that we specifically name family responsibilities as a section in the activities and awards update. We know that many students are non-traditional, and they might be parents themselves, or that you're taking care of younger siblings or other family members. We want to honor that, because that's important to who you are as a person and the things that you've been able to access, and the ways that you show up for your community, and it demonstrates leadership, one of the things that we're looking for. So please make sure you include that in there if that makes sense for your story. And that's it for me. So I'll pass it to you, Katie.
Great, Monique. Thank you. We are now going to go over the video interview. So we'll give you everything that you need to feel comfortable for the video interview. So do know that this is a required piece for your application. And this is going to provide you with an opportunity to speak on your own behalf. So it's just a different way you have an opportunity to speak in the essay, but this is a different format and way to also give some breath to your experience and your voice. And you will be interviewing and communication are essential skills in business. So those are part of what we're helping you demonstrate to us in this part of the application. And you will be evaluated on the content of the interview, and not so much on your appearance or your presentation or how you speak. So don't let those factors weigh heavy on your heart. Really just come with good content and answer the question. The video interview will be considered in the evaluation process, but it is not the most significant component of the final decision. So as Monique said earlier, you're going to spend a couple tries doing the video interview. Maybe you'll feel solid on the first try, but you do not need to let this take over and consume your entire week. And just know that there are other parts of the application we're also looking at. This isn't make or break on the video interview. All right, so starting the video, make sure that you feel ready, comfortable, and in a good headspace. Take a deep breath before. Make sure that you are feeling positive, and maybe you've practiced a couple times. Just make sure that you are feeling ready and comfortable. Inform the folks around you that you're about to record your interview. So you might have roommates, parents, siblings, even pets that like to come across the keyboard. Make sure that you, again, are in a good headspace physically and mentally in order to go into the video interview. Record in a place with good Wi-Fi connection. Double check that Wi-Fi a couple times before you get in. That'll be part of making your mental space feel good. Um, Log into Map at Berkeley portal. This is where you will find the video interview. You will record it directly in your application. And you will click on the video essay under the form section. So in case you're having trouble finding it, look for the form section in your Map at Berkeley portal on your app. And this is where you will see the questions before you begin recording. So we do flash them on the screen before you start that process. When you are ready, you will click ready, and then you will record. All right, so this year we've had a lot of technical difficulties, so we do want to give you some tips to try to mitigate those issues that you might run into. So first, make sure that you have an up-to-date browser. Google Chrome and Safari seem to be the most successful, and this is where you're going to access that video form. So again, make sure that you have Google Chrome or Safari, and that the browser is up to date. Make sure that you enable video and audio sharing as soon as you access the page. It's going to prompt you right away. Make sure that you just do it right away. Once you access the video essay form, do not refresh the page. Just continue forward and keep moving forward. Do not have the video essay form open in more than one browser tab. Just stay in one tab. You know, the system is only designed in one way, so just make sure you have one tab open when you're doing the video essay. Do not delete any previously uploaded ID materials onto the form, or do not delete any previously uploaded ID materials onto the form. Submit after your first or second attempt if you can. A lot of students are reporting difficulties after recording their fourth or fifth attempt. We have a lot of attempts there to just give you a little bit more space and breath, but honestly, you will probably be good to go after one or two attempts. Going back to the earlier point, you don't have to overthink it. You are going to do a great job, and just make sure you're in that great headspace. And if you're feeling good about one or two, just go ahead and submit one or two, because I'm sure it's going to be better than you even feel like it is. And then submit your video early. The closer you get to the deadline, the longer it will take to get technical support from our team. So if you don't want to feel stressed after the deadline, it'll be more helpful to be able to get in contact with us sooner rather than later. So if you can, set your deadline a couple days before, just in case you hit technical issues. And of course, in bold at the bottom here is our email. Email us immediately if you have any issues whatsoever on the application, especially as you're getting close to that deadline. It is important that we see that you're trying to reach out to us and attempt to remedy the issue before that deadline. All right, so the video interview, this is a little bit more about the logistics. You will record the video within the application itself, once again, within the Map at Berkeley portal. You will show your ID when the recording starts. Just take a couple seconds to show us your ID up to the camera. You will take 6 minutes to answer 5 questions. So we usually say budget about a minute per question, giving yourself a little bit of buffer if you go over a little bit here or there. And then you do have 5 attempts. Once again, if you feel good within the first couple, go ahead and submit it just to avoid technical difficulties later. And take as much time as you need between attempts. So that's where it's good to maybe start as soon as you can, see how you feel about it, because you can always take the evening to sleep on it if you decide you're not in a good mental space or your roommate's coming in. Again, the closer you get to the deadline, the less time you have between those attempts. But do know you can sleep on it if you are not in the headspace. And you can only submit the last recording that you made. So you do not have an option at the end of all your recordings and you choose the best one. It's just the last one that you did. All right, so here is what the status page should look like in your Map at Berkeley portal. Um, it shows the requirements that you have. So the Haas Supplemental Application, essay and resume, the Haas Supplemental Application self-reported academic record, and then the video essay. When those things have been submitted, you will see the green check mark as you do in the application checklist below. And another thing to note is that our system is on Eastern Standard Time. So especially if you're submitting close to that deadline and you see a timestamp that is on the next day, just know that if you submitted it before midnight or 11:59 p.m. on the West Coast, then you're good to go, even if the timestamp says in East Coast time. So don't let that worry your heart. All right, photo ID. Maybe you were in it, you were ready to go, you're just in interview mode and you dive right in and you submit and you realize that you didn't do the photo ID part of the video submission. So this is where if you forgot to show your ID for the video, you can upload a copy directly here. And you can also test or you may retest or start over as well. So this is just a little bit more of what you are going to experience on the screen in the portal. All right, so we have video interview tips. These all will be helpful for you as, again, you're getting into that mental headspace as you're preparing yourself. A couple things to remind you of are be yourself. We want you to come as you are. We're not here to judge you as a person. We are here to listen and share in your experiences that you've had and that you want to show us who you are and why Haas would be a good fit for you and why you are a good fit for Haas. Um, do not read from a scripted response. We can tell. It's like bringing note cards to a dinner party. You want to have that sort of ability that we're in conversation, even though we can't be one-on-one. So again, don't worry if you stumble, if you stutter, you know, if you're imperfect in the way you say something, if you have to repeat a sentence, that's okay. We're not going to evaluate you on those pieces of your communication. Um, Practice telling your story out loud. This is probably the best advice we can give you. You're not going to know the questions, but you generally know how to talk about yourself and to show examples of who you are. So again, get your roommate, mom, dad, get your cat, get somebody to get on Zoom with you just to kind of practice out loud, speaking about what you think we might ask, and just getting in that headspace. Provide examples of your qualities or experiences. So this is really big. Know that your application told us what you've done. This is the part that, again, shows us who you are, shows us what your experiences are, and shows us the qualities that you have. So just make sure that you are providing examples in this piece of the application. Dress in a way that makes you feel most comfortable and confident. There's no need to dress up. There's no need to dress in any way that is perceivably business oriented. Again, come as you are, come as you're comfortable. We're not judging you on those factors. And maybe most important is do not wait until January 31st to submit. It's stressful. You don't want to do this to yourself. We don't want you to do this to yourself. And again, having that ability to say, you know, start your recording, you're not in the headspace, and being able to sleep on it and come back around to it when you're fresh the next day is a luxury that you want to give yourself. So a couple days before, set a new deadline for you and make sure you're not submitting at the last minute. All right, couple the last things to remember here is to speak to your interests and your passions. Again, we want to know who you are. Business is big and it has a lot of interest built into it. And so make sure you are showing us your interests and your passions as well. The selection committee is looking for reasons to say yes. This is important. We are cheering for you. We are not coming with a negative lens. We are not looking to throw applications in the no pile. We're actually really looking for reasons to say yes to you and your reasons for being here. So know that we are your champions in cheerleading you through this process. take opportunities to demonstrate your alignment with our values. So once again, if you're not aware of our defining leadership principles, just take a look at those and really use those as a lens to understand, again, your experiences and to be able to speak to your reasons for wanting to come to Haas. All right. Important screenshot here. If you're not aware, again, this is the application due date on the 31st. Again, our software is in Eastern Standard Time. So if you submit that application by the deadline, but see February 1, don't worry. We know that you submitted it on the 31st. And it takes a little while for it to update in the portal. So know if you submitted something, you might not see that green check mark right away. Just check back in a couple days to make sure that it did go through. And if it didn't, email us immediately. All right, some office closures to keep in mind. You might be reaching out to us. Know that we are closed on the weekends, and so we are unavailable on Saturday and Sunday to connect. And we will be closed on January 19th for Dr. Martin Luther King Day. So we'll be back in office the next day on Tuesday on the 20th. All right, we're going to do some high-level FAQs right now before we dive into your questions that you've submitted. So, will my supplemental essay be read separately from the personal insight questions on the application? Do know that we read both, but we will read them individually, but we do read our essays together. And so it is an important note too to make sure that you are writing a genuine and authentic essay for Haas and that you are not copy pasting pieces from your PIQ. Should I repeat certain details or facts I already mentioned on the UC app in the supplemental application? The parts where what you need to update is anything new. So we will be able to see anything that you submitted. So anything that's new or needs to be updated is what you would put on the Haas supplemental application.
Excellent. Thank you, Katie. Is more weight given to the supplemental essay than the rest of the essays? No, we're looking at all of them. So we're going to read them all and they're all weighed the same. And should I introduce myself in the interview or thank the admissions team? And then, no, you don't have to do either of those things. But if they feel authentic to who you are and you want to do that, you can do that. But please don't feel like you need to address us and use your time in that way. We know that you have questions to get to, so you can just jump into the questions. I'm going to do a couple of housekeeping things real quick to give a little bit of time for y'all to upvote any questions in the Q&A function that are really important that you want us to get to, or add any questions in there. Also love that analogy of bringing notes or note cards to a dinner party. Thank you, Katie. That's great. So love that. And also that we're closed on January 31st. That's the day that the application is closed. And that's why we've been encouraging you throughout this presentation to reach out early. So if you got a question after today's session, email us. We'll answer your question when we're back tomorrow. But please don't wait until the 31st to ask us for support, because we will not be available to answer your questions. So we do want to make sure you're good to go. All right, so let's jump into these questions in the Q&A. All right, so the one that has the most votes right now is for the video interview, do we have to state the question or should we pause before answering one of the questions?
Sorry, just getting oriented here. I'm going to have to read that to myself out loud too. So for the video interview, do we have to state the questions or should we pause before answering one of the questions? Great question. You don't have to take too long of a pause. It is helpful to maybe restate the question if you can, or kind of reference the question you're asking or answering, just so we know that which one you're answering. I would also say it is helpful to answer in the order that the questions are listed, just kind of go through one by one so that if you don't take a pause and you just keep talking, we're going to know which question that you are speaking to.
Thank you, Katie. All right, I'll take the next one. This is about the supplemental essay, and I'm just going to whatever, I'll just read it. So in this, is the supplemental essay meant to address a more philosophical approach or beliefs? around approaching business, or can it be rooted in real life experience, or is it a mixture? It's a mixture. We do want to hear about. I mean, if you have real life and tangible experience that you can that relates to the question we're asking, feel free to put that in there. But if you are kind of more just thinking about it because you haven't had much experience in business, which is totally okay. If you need to approach the essay in that manner about like how you would, uh, approach the question that we're answering in terms of like future thinking, that's okay too, because we know that some folks might not have had real life business experience. So either is fine. Okay. The next question is it okay to take some topics from the PIQs and you kind of reuse them, but go more in depth in the supplemental essay?
Yes, so that is correct. You are welcome to talk about the same topics, but we do want you to talk about them or expand on them in a different way. So it's okay to reference the same things, but talk about it again in a different way. Give us different examples, different experiences, or different bottom line for what you are discussing.
Cool. Thank you, Katie. All right. The next question is, and I'll take this one, is what is the most important thing that admissions officers are looking for in the Haas essay? So again, the main question is how will you put the collective good above personal interest? So we're looking for you to answer that question and be really thoughtful about how you approach or how you would approach business from that lens. And again, if you have tangible experiences that you can draw from, please feel free to use those in your essay. But we really want to hear about how you align with beyond yourself, which is one of our defining leadership principles, and how you think more broadly about how business could potentially be used as a benefit, like a tool to do good in the world. So think of it that way. So make sure you're addressing those things. Okay, the next question is, hi, Monique and Katie. Thank you for hosting the Q&A session. My question is, what mistakes or do applicants most frequently make in their Haas supplemental essay? That's a good question. We'll take a minute to think about that one.
Yes, I would say a big mistake, and big mistake is kind of like a harsh thing. There's not really many mistakes, but I would say one, not answering the question. We do want you to succinctly answer the question. That's the most important part of it. I would say another thing too is like thinking of this as valuable real estate, actually. And it's valuable real estate to showcase yourself. And so you don't want to spend time talking about another student's journey or growth journey. You don't want to spend a lot of time talking about the faculty or classes at Haas. We understand that they'll be part of your outcomes in your case, but we already know the faculty are fab. They're going to help you do those things. So, really focus the spotlight on you. I would say not focusing that spotlight on you, which can be uncomfortable, would be a missed opportunity in the essay.
Thank you, Katie. Ditto everything Katie said. But I'll just add also not having familiarity or a really good understanding of our defining leadership principles, especially this year. Our question is basically just asking you about the defining leadership principles. So make sure you spend a little bit of time reviewing what those DLPs are and again, how they relate to your life, how they relate to your values and the way that you think about business, and let that kind of guide or infuse that into the essay. So make sure you're writing towards that because we are kind of leading you in a specific direction. Okay, I see a question Katie wants to answer. I'll let you take it, Katie.
Sure, and this might be similar. Thank you so much for this event. Very grateful. We are happy to have you here and to help. What makes a Haas transfer applicant supplemental responses stand out on the supplemental? Standout qualities, I think Monique just mentioned, is really aligning with our DLPs. It is important to understand who we are and to again use those as a lens to talk about your experiences. I would also say once again, answering the question, really sticking to the question because you only have so much time. Sometimes it's easy to get into the flowery language and the layup. Really, just answering the question and giving examples would really, it's really helpful to make an essay or stand out in terms of experience.
Agree again. Thank you, Katie. I just want to add on that. Also, authenticity, where you can try to infuse a little bit of your backstory in terms of like what led you to your interest in business. I think that's also really helpful for us to kind of be able to trace, yeah, like where your interest generated from. Like, so if your family had like a small business and you grew up in that small business and that's led you to think about business in a certain way. That's kind of an easy way to lay out your essay and address our essay prompt. So where you can try to do those things because we also want to know who you are. That's why we have those PIQs. That's great background for us. But where you can tell us in relation to business and the major that we offer, who you are, do that. I think that also really helps us get a sense of, you as a person. Okay, the next question is I accidentally clicked the link for the video essay, but did not record. I just went back to the previous page. Is that one attempt already? No, you'll know. And thanks for asking this question. We'll get into some of these logistical questions here about the video essay. So if you clicked on it, no problem, because you still have to click another button to start recording. So that doesn't count as an attempt. Another thing about the video essay page, look at it today. If I can ask you to do one thing, it's to look at the video essay page today, because you're going to see the interview questions. You'll see the interview questions. They're all laid out there. It has all the instructions on how to approach this. So play around with that. You have several attempts to do this. So if you even want to just test out like how to record, or give your browser access to your mic and your camera, get that done today. Find out today that it doesn't work. Better to find out today than on January 31st. So please, if I could give you one task tonight, is to look at that page. But yeah, so you'll have that all there for you. So as you're going through the process, you're not going to have the questions read to you, or they're not going to pop up on the screen. You're not going to have a little timer necessarily telling you like how much time you have left. So you've got to be monitoring those things, but you obviously can have the video going at one point and also see the questions there. So, even go in there and screenshot the questions, have those for later without feeling nervous about having used an attempt or anything. But yeah, look at that page today. Okay. Let's see here. Should I be reporting all my courses throughout community college, or am I just supposed to report the prerequisites in the supplemental application?
For the Haas supplemental, you are reporting the Haas prerequisites. We will see all of the other grades that you submitted on your UC application, but for the Haas part, you're just submitting the 7 Haas prerequisites.
Excellent, thank you, Katie. Let's see. Okay, is it okay to answer the video essays in a controversial way? As in you end up using slang like low key. That's totally fine. Again, approach this as you're just kind of having a conversation with somebody else and pretend it's not, an admissions person. Just a regular conversation. It's okay if you use slang. As Katie said, dress how you want. It's okay if you're in your pajamas. We're not looking for this to be super polished or super professional. So I love that. Use low key, and again, that also demonstrates your authenticity. We also get to we get to know a little bit about who you are. Okay, let's see here. The next question is there and okay, we can answer this together. Is there an order in which the essays are read? If my supplemental essay expands on topics I talked about in my other essays, can I treat it as if my PIQs introduce the topics first? I'll just answer this one. The essays are read like we're reading the supplemental first, and then we get to the PIQs. But some folks read it other way. So, but in any event, we're reading everything. So, don't feel like you have to, write it in a certain way. When we read your supplemental essay first, well, often we're reading your supplemental essay first, and then we're going to read your PIQs, and we're like, oh yeah, they talked about that in their PIQ, or vice versa. Like we read your PIQs and then we read your supplement, and like, oh yeah, we see the connection between these things. So again, don't feel like you have to write it in a certain way. Okay, let's see here. Okay, when you mentioned earlier that we can sleep on the video interview question, does it mean we can pause and continue, or is it just taking another attempt? Oh no, where'd it go? Another attempt on another day, and the questions wouldn't change?
Yes, so the questions aren't going to change. It's going to be the same thing. You have a lot of time between. Like you could start recording tonight. You're not feeling it. You could put it aside and come back on the weekend and take a couple days in between. So yeah, you can sleep on it if you're not feeling it, but essentially you do have time between takes on each of your videos.
Sweet. Thank you, Katie. The next question is, I'll ask you this one as well. Are we able to rewatch our most recent attempt of the video interview?
You should be able to rewatch and decide if you want to. Yeah, you can rewatch it, see how it sounds to you, and that's where you can decide if you want to make another attempt or go with what you have recorded.
Excellent. Thank you, Katie. Okay, I'm seeing some similar-ish questions here, specific to individuals. So, I'm also going to take a beat here. If Katie and I are giving you our time this evening, so ask the questions that you want to ask. And please don't ask the internet because Reddit it will. I mean, we're here for a reason. we're the ones reading your applications, and we can give you the best insight. So please ask your questions. All right, let's see. For the video interview, do you need to answer all of the questions the same amount, or can you talk longer about one question than another if you think it's more important?
Great question, and we should clarify. So, we want you to answer all the questions that we have provided. You may feel more resonance with one question. It'll be a great conversation. If you end up at Haas, we can continue that conversation. But we do want you to answer every question that we have prompted. We do want to know a little bit about each of the things that we will ask you. So, make sure you budget about a minute per question. Again, maybe one question you resonate with more and you might spend a minute and a half on it. And then another question might be more like 45 seconds. So you can figure out what your budget is between each of those questions. But we say stay within about a minute. If you're answering 3 minutes for one question, you might be in trouble. So just keep those time frames in mind.
Excellent. Thank you, Katie. I'll take this next question is a common one I've been seeing is, so if I'm currently taking a prerequisite this spring or the winter term, would I put not complete or should I put it as a college level course and then put IP? Please put it as a college level course. It's a class that you have in progress, or if it's a class that you have planned, do not say not complete, because if you put not complete, we're just going to think that you're not completing the prerequisites, and that means you're going to be ineligible. So if you got it in progress or planned, put it as a college level course and then type those letters into the grade box, please. Okay, the next question is, what's the 90 seconds for? I'll just tell you quickly. It's basically just to test your equipment. So make sure that you are using that wisely. Again, give your browser access to your camera and mic before you get started. Let's see here.
I've got one, Monique,
Okay.
that hasn't been upvoted, but is interesting, and I did want to clarify. So it was asked if can we use a note card if it's just one note card? And so I do need to clarify something because I said you don't want to bring note cards to a dinner party. It's true, but it is okay to have like very brief notes in front of you. What we're really trying to say is like scripting word for word what you are going to say. The way you write is different from the way you speak every time. And it just comes off a little bit. We just want to see your authenticity. We really want to see you. So once again, it's okay to have like a note card with little bullet points or a point or two. It's okay to look at it and show us that you've seen it. But like if we see that you're reading or if you sound like you are reading from a script, again, that will sound like going to a dinner party with note cards. And, it might not, or to a dinner party with a speech, rather. It might not be the authentic vibe that you want to bring to the table.
Thank you. Amy, that's a great answer. Okay. The next question is uh I think you kind of answered. I think you answered this, but I'm just going to repeat. Are there different questions for each attempt that we get for the video interview? No, they stay the same. every time. So you're just going to answer the same set of questions no matter how many times you attempt them, and everybody has the same questions. So don't worry about that. Let's see here. Is I guess you kind of answered this, but this is about the video interview. But can you answer this, Katie, about for the video interview, should we avoid talking about things we already wrote in our UC application or the supplemental essay?
Yeah, so that'll be the same thing between essay to essay. It's you can talk about the same topics, you can talk about the same ideas, but you really want to talk about it in a different way, and especially within the context of the question that we're asking. So when you're using these examples that might be across the application, again, really tending to the question and making sure you're answering the question and talking about that topic in a different way will be important. So short answer, yes, you can. Make sure you expand upon it differently.
Thank you, Katie. Just perusing, there's a lot of questions here. So also, if you see one that you want to answer, you can do that. Okay, here's a question, and I think you usually give good advice on this as well, but is there any methodology that we should follow in approaching the video interview? Students usually have said STAR method. So look up the STAR method because that is a helpful kind of framework to think about how you might lay out your responses. And generally, when we're asking you the question, you're gonna try to give us an example of a time that something happened that related to that question. So giving us examples is also really helpful because it gives us a tangible insight into like your experience addressing or experience related to that question. Uh, and Katie usually have some good insight around show not tell if you want to add anything on that.
Yeah, it's my favorite concept. You can Google it. I also say too, you can just like Google questions to other business programs at other schools. And those might not be the questions we ask, but it gets you in the mindset, gets you in the headspace. And ask again, I think practicing is also really important. It gets the jitters out. If anyone's seen like Anchorman and he's doing all the like, practicing before he's on, it seems silly. Actors do it all the time. But even just getting out your jitters, getting out the stumbles, knowing how you stumble in real time and how you save yourself is those are all really helpful ways to just feel prepared and feel ready to answer the question. So again, ask somebody to get face to face with you, get on the phone, get on Zoom, just go through some questions and just get used to talking about yourself in this context.
Excellent. Thank you, Katie. Okay, let's see. Some questions. Okay, there's this one question here that I'll can we go over the questions, the interview questions and with some examples? No, we're that's not what this space is for. You can see the questions right now. So as we mentioned at the top, utilize your resources, utilize the tools that in front of you. If you have access to AI tools, just throw them in there. See what AI would say and how they respond to that. That'll give you some idea of how somebody, an AI, might respond to those questions. Use that as a framework, a starting point for you to think about. Okay, so maybe I'll approach it this way. And then obviously you're going to have to go back and revise and infuse your own life experiences into those responses. But, don't stress over this. This isn't meant to be like, this is also, that's one aspect of the application. We're getting a lot of questions about the video interview, but there's also the essay, the self-reported academic record, other things that we're looking at. So this is not going to make or break your admission decision. So again, I really want to stress for you to not spend a lot of time on this, and please don't stress over this. Just go into it with an open mind. Use 1 or 2 attempts. I know it can seem like this is going to be the end all be all for you, but it's really not. Like just use 1 or 2 attempts doing this and don't spend any more time than that. We know you've got other things to do and you're all fantastic applicants. So please don't stress yourselves out over this. And, again, you want to use AI to ask, get a general start on your how you might approach the answer of these questions, feel free to do that. But you've got other great content in your application that we're looking at and that we're evaluating. Let's see here. Oh, so many questions.
I know it's bouncing around too, so I'm
Yeah.
trying to stay on them. Very quickly, I want to confirm, do we have to read the questions out loud as we're answering them in the video interview? You do not have to, though it is helpful. I think someone asked earlier, do we have to take a pause? It is helpful to reference the question. If you can say it out loud, go ahead, but you again don't want to waste valuable real estate when you can be answering the question. But taking a pause or, referencing the question before you answer it could be helpful. But most importantly, just answer in order. That helps us understand what question you're answering by answering the questions in the order that they are prompted.
Thanks, Katie. Okay. A question here about the DLPs. Which Haas DLP is most often misunderstood by applicants, and what does it look like when somebody truly lives in it? I think students usually have a good sense of the defining leadership principles. I think it's more about like how you embody it or how you plan to kind of pursue those things as you move forward. So and I think this is relevant to the essay that we're asking again is to, review those DLPs briefly. Don't spend a ton of time on it and think about like really reflect on like why are you pursuing business and why are these DLPs relevant to you or how do they relate to you and your own personal philosophy or your own values and try to make those connections because that's where you're going to get those authentic responses about this essay and it should come easier that way when it is authentic to who you are and what you hope to do with your time in your education and your professional life. So yeah, please take some time to briefly review those DLPs and reflect on how they relate to your own self and values. Okay. I think we're kind of getting similar questions here. So maybe we start wrapping up here. Katie, let's take a beat. If you have any thoughts on any advice you might give to our applicants, we'll do that. And if you do have a question, the Q&A is pretty saturated right now. So if you want to just ask your question in the chat, I'll try to look for those quickly and try to make your question a little bit more broad so it can answer, not just a question that's relevant just to you.
Yes. All right. I've got one right off the bat. I will self-admit chronic procrastinator at one point in my life. And it was definitely around the time that I was in college. And it honestly is no fun to do that to yourself. I understand it can be fun to ride on the edge sometimes of a deadline because it gets you motivated in some kind of way. But I've learned over time honestly the gift of just putting something down, even in its worst form. It always gets better from there. And so, whatever that hesitation is of like, oh, I could start tonight, but let me start tomorrow, do it now. I have this motto in life if it takes 2 minutes and I realize it needs to be done, I can't look away. I have to do it now because it only takes 2 minutes. And so find out which parts of the application you can just get done that are easy for you to get done. Recognize which ones are challenging. It's probably the essay and the video interview. And then just start. I'd say start with the essay, honestly. It's kind of getting you in the mindset and the flow to go into the video interview. Um, Beyond that, you can just start like writing in note form, bullet form, just throw down ideas and then go to sleep, wake up the next day, add a little bit more form to that. Really think of it kind of like a sculpture that you're whittling away at, and you really want the time to carve in those details. And it's so much harder to, carve a wooden form in one night than it is over 2 or 3 weeks. So again, give yourself the grace of time. You're going to have those challenges of sitting down of like when you start, you don't know where to start, or it's in such what feels like poor form or unfinished form. But like every artist starts with the first mark, and you really need to just put something down and see where it takes you. So have the courage to just get it started, give yourself the grace of time. Again, don't leave the deadline to the last minute. So just some notes from a previous procrastinator since reformed.
Love that a lot, Katie. Thank you. And on that note as well, please reach out early and as soon as you need support. We're happy to give it to you, but we want to make sure that we're able to help you ahead of that January 31st deadline. Sorry, there's a lot of questions in the chat, so I'll hang back for a little bit and answer any questions, but I do want to just share with everybody a piece of advice or tip as you're going into this. You know, you might feel this, but I definitely felt this as a transfer student, that sometimes we're not enough, that we don't belong. And I hope that you don't feel that way in this process. And I hope that you know that you have you bring a lot of value to wherever you go, but especially to this institution here at Berkeley, and that you have a community of fellow transfer students waiting for you at the university at large and at Haas. We have a really strong transfer community, and we are excited for you to get integrated into that if you decide to come to Haas. So please know that as you're writing your essays, we're reading, and your applications, and your interview, we're reading and watching everything. So please know that your work is not in vain, and it doesn't go unnoticed. We appreciate your time and your effort and energy in this. And again, that your stories are valuable and that you are enough. Don't feel like you have to do anything more right now. You know, get another job in the next 14 days. That's not the point of this. We are really looking for you to bring yourself at this stage of your life and what you're bringing to this process in terms of applying to the institution and to the business major, and how we can help you with your next steps. So think about those things, because it's not just, you're trying to get in. It's also like, how can we help you, and what can we give to you as you give back to us and make this the vibrant community in terms of academics and professional and so on and so forth that it is. So thank you for your interest in applying to the business major. Thank you for your time and energy. Please reach out. We are really happy to help you, and we want you to be successful in this process. So thank you for being here tonight. You got this. Good luck, and go Bears.